Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another video here on Ty Drives. My name is Ty behind the camera, and this is the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan S. So this is the base model, and it's been updated for 2022. So some styling updates, also some new features and things that come standard. So in this video, we're going to take a walk around the outside and see what's new, also discuss all the features. We're going to pop the hood next and see what's under there. Then we're going to start off with the interior, starting in the cargo area, moving forward to the rear seats, and finally the front seats. But you're going to want to stick around to the end because I'm going to strap this GoPro on my head and I'm going to see what it's like to drive the 2022 Tiguan. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Valenti Volkswagen of Watertown, Connecticut for providing this car for filming purposes as well. One of the very important new updates is the addition of LED headlights. So high and low beams, and daytime running lights are all LED on the new Tiguan, regardless of trim. So that's pretty cool. We also have some new styling updates with the front bumper. So this sort of swoop piece right here is actually body colored, so that's pretty neat. You have parking sensors that span the front bumper because this has the optional IQ Drive package, and just some more little subtle styling updates up front, like the grille. The hood is this very sort of angular, squared off piece, which looks very nice. Lots of creases and angles going on there. And we have the same body lines that run down, very prominent, and they create some pretty cool shadow lines too. Even on the base model, you get some pretty nice wheels, 17-inch wheels. They have the sort of black pockets and machine face. And the tires measure 215/65. We have a new little accent going on here from the fender into the door. Blind spot monitoring on the mirrors, and also LED turn signals. We have a new keyless go system. So instead of it kind of being a sort of touch sensitive button, it's an actual button right now. So you kind of press it to lock and then press it to unlock as well. And that's on both the front door handles. Back here we have the same wheel and tire setup. Of course, disc brakes. This being the S, we don't get the panoramic sunroof, but as soon as you step up to the SE, that becomes an option. But you do get the side rails with the option of getting crossbars, which is pretty cool. We have a little spoiler up here and back here. To match the front, we have the LED tail lamps. So brake lights, turn signals, pretty much everything back here is LED. We also have the Tiguan emblem right here, right below the Volkswagen emblem. We have a trunk release and reversing camera under there, and your 4Motion all-wheel drive emblem. So what do you guys think of these styling updates on the 22 Tiguan? Let me know your opinion down in the comments. So, 184 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, out of a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4. And in case those figures sound familiar, they are. This is pretty much a carryover engine from the 2018 to 2021 Tiguans. And that's not a bad thing, because this engine is pretty well suited for this car. Still get an engine oil dipstick. Take a look at that. And right next to it is the engine oil filter. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of cars have the engine oil dipstick anymore. We have the battery up front, air intake system over here, and there's quite a bit of felt lining to keep the noise out from intruding into the cabin. And you can also see the hood latch is right up here, and you just lift up like so. right, so let's check out the cargo space in the 22 Tiguan. As you can see, it's not a powered trunk lid, but it's very easy to open and close. The struts do a nice job of lifting it up and making it pretty easy to close down as well. Now the third row is still available on Tiguans, but I hear you can only get it with the front wheel drive configuration. So this obviously is a 2-row seating style, so 5-passenger vehicle. Back here you have a really good amount of space, so yeah, plenty of room. And you also have a couple of accessories. So you have the roadside assistance kit, first aid kit, and the cargo blocks, which is pretty cool. You have tie downs towards the front. Also a little 12-volt power outlet back here. And you also have these little tabs that you can pull, and the front seat, or the second row seats rather, will fold forward, giving you better access to all of the cargo space back here. If we lift up the cargo floor, you can see that we have a spare tire back here, so that's pretty good. To close the trunk, we have a handle right here. Like I said before, relatively easy to just grab and close right on down. At this point, we can take a look at the rear seats. So the rear seats on this new sort of generation Tiguan have always been a strong suit. Take a look at how much legroom there is back here. There's also a different design for the seats on the S, which is pretty nice. We have pretty much soft to the touch materials just on your armrest. So up here and down here will be hard touch, but you do get a pretty large storage bin. Also 6 speakers throughout the vehicle on the S model. Now these rear seats actually will fold down with this little tether right here. So you fold that, it'll fold flat, and you can also slide them back and forth. You can see with this little bar right here. So you can decide whether you want less legroom in the back and more cargo space, or vice versa. There's also a little button right here next to the third headrest, and that will fold down your trunk pass-through. Once you fold that back up, you can either choose to use it as a third seat for a person, or you could fold it down like so and have an armrest with a couple of cup holders. Now I am 5'10", and I have the front seat in a normal driving position for myself. Take a look at that. I have loads of legroom. I would say 5-6 inches of legroom. And it's also a very comfy seat back here. I could definitely see myself riding back here for longer trips. Pretty small drivetrain hump in the center, so again, you'd have no problem with carrying a third passenger back here. You have air vents and also a 12-volt power outlet for the S. Some grab handles up top, and also some LED lights for each passenger. Very solid doors, of course. And you can check out the front seats at this point. A little bit of trim for the driver's door. You also get the addition of nice soft to the touch material on the top, so if you like to rest your elbow up there, it'll be pretty comfortable. You have the leatherette up here. A little bit of a larger storage pocket and a couple of speakers. You have the window lockout, the window adjustments, and also the heated mirror adjustments. To the left of the dash, you have an air vent and all of your lighting controls. And you can also see the lever here for the tilt telescoping steering wheel. Just below the lighting controls, you have a pretty decent amount of storage, so you can definitely keep dollar bills, change, anything like that in there. have the hood release off to the left and the pedals off to the right, and you can see that all of their floor mats are mounted in here as well. The seats are manually adjusting, but there's a pretty good range of motion and really nice quality to these cloth seats. So you have the recline right here, the height over here, and also the back and forth with that little lever right there. At this point, we can hop in and check out the rest of the features up front. So for 22, you still have the traditional switchblade style key, at least for the S Tiguan. We have all the functionalities on this side, the lock, unlock, sort of a trunk popper. It doesn't open the trunk, but it kind of just releases it. And also your panic alarm. To the flip side, we have the new updated Volkswagen logo too. With the addition of the 22 model year, you get push button start on the S, so you no longer have to stick the key in the slot to start. Now this car does have the IQ driving package, so it has a couple of features that the most basic S Tiguan would not have. So we have adaptive cruise control, lane assist, and various other things. It also gives you a leather-wrapped steering wheel. And so just to point that out, not all Tiguan's S's will come with that package, but this one does have it. But starting off on the steering wheel, of course, it's all leather-wrapped. You have contrast stitching on the inside and sort of a whole new design to the steering wheel. We have all of the adaptive cruise control settings on this side with the audio volume on the bottom. We have voice commands, a view for a couple of different controls for the screen up there, and skipping for the radio. Behind the steering wheel, we have a sort of quick select to turn on and off our safety systems up there. So that's pretty cool that they give you that a quick option to do so. We also have the turn signals and high beams. And of course, on the other side, we have the front and rear wipers. Now, even on the S, we get a full digital instrument cluster. And we are going to use the view button as well as the page back and forth, up and down, and OK to configure this screen. So this would sort of be my default screen. You could press view to get a few other things, so to display different information on either side, and the speedometer in the middle. But then you could also change what you see to either side, so that's pretty cool. And I'll zoom in there so you can get a look. That's pretty cool. You can also change what's on the other side too, so that's pretty awesome. So you can display your current economy, and then if you go to view, we also have another screen which we can configure what we see to either side there, or what's in the middle rather. So you can put the average speed up there. Then you can also press view one more time. That gives you your tachometer, and you could also change what you see in the center of that display as well. So that's a pretty neat little screen there. You can also get a larger screen, so a full digital dash on the upper trims. These parts over here to the side are not digital. The screen kind of only highlights from where the clock is down to the fuel range. On the other side, you have a couple of bars for the coolant temperature and the gas gauge. So pretty simple screen, but it is fully digital, which is very nice. Upper dash is all nice, soft to the touch. You have some storage up here, and it's got a rubber pad at the bottom, so whatever you put up there isn't going to move around too much. A couple of air vents, and in the middle you have the hazards button. And we have the smaller infotainment screen for the S. Turn it on and go like that. And that brings us right to the audio screen. So you can set your presets up in the center, station list over here, and your different sources down below. And you also have a manual tuning with the knob right over here. We also have your media screen, the menu screen, which is kind of your home screen. You can click on the vehicle status, sort of different driving data, which is pretty neat, and energy consumption. So say you turn on the air conditioning, it'll tell you how much I guess fuel economy that you could save. It's not very much, but hey, it's something. We also have the phone screen, which not a lot is going to pop up because I don't have my phone connected. We also have the app button here, which has to do with the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So if you have your phone connected, you just press app and it'll bring you right to your Apple CarPlay and whatnot. We have sound adjustments for the audio. And that's pretty much it. You can kind of swipe from the top and get your gauge dimmer. That's pretty interesting. And various other things. Very simplistic screen. Once you step it up to the SE, you'll get a bigger, more intuitive screen with more adjustments and everything like that that you could go through. More settings that you could adjust and everything like that. Taking a look down below, we have the more simple single zone climate control. So you have the temperature right here, fan speed in the center, and where you want the air to come out on the other side. Again, once you step it up to the SE, you'll have the updated dual zone climate control. It's kind of sliders for the fan speed and the temperatures. Also have heated seats for the S, which is very nice, and just a couple of different controls up there as well. 2 USB-C connections in there and a 12-volt power outlet with a rubberized pad. We have the start-stop button right there, electronic parking brake, auto start-stop on and off right there, and we also have the carryover 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission, but a new gear shift knob, which is a little bit more premium in my opinion. Going back into reversed, we of course have a pretty decent backup camera. Not the best quality, but definitely not the worst. We also have neutral and drive, which you could switch over and change gears manually. We have one knob down here, which is pretty interesting. And this gives you a couple of driving modes. Once you twist it, we kind of have a snow mode. We can move over into the normal driving mode, so it's eco, normal, sport, and a custom mode, which you can adjust various things within that custom mode. Pretty cool. You can also take it to off-road, and you also have an off-road custom mode, which that again you can customize. So that's pretty neat. Not a lot of cars at this price point have that sort of customability for driving modes, so that's pretty cool. A little tray here to put pencils and pens, a couple of cup holders, nicely leather wrapped armrest. You open that up. It's a pretty deep storage bin in there. Passenger area looks pretty nice with the little trim and the air vent and the glove box that you could open. It's sort of a bin style. Pretty good amount of space in there. You have the rear view mirror and this cloth headliner, which feels pretty good. A couple of SOS maintenance controls, very large sunglass holder, and all of your lighting controls. A few more things I'd like to bring into focus are the visors, which are a pretty good size. They have the card holder, mirror, and lights, and grab handles. That pretty much does it for the features of this vehicle. Let's put this GoPro on my head and get it out for a drive. Alright, let's take the 2022 Tiguan for a little drive. Now, throughout this drive, we're going to take it around to this dead end. We're going to see how good the turning circle is. Then we're going to get it out onto a sort of main road, you know, kind of like a 2-lane highway. And we'll see how it is up at speeds about 45, 50 miles an hour. And we'll also take it up to a back road. So the back road we're going to go on is pretty curvy. It's also pretty bumpy, so we'll get a good feel for the suspension, as well as acceleration. So we'll kind of do a, I guess you could say 25 roll. We'll get up to 25 miles an hour. Just kind of floor it and see what the acceleration is like on this. Turning circle is pretty good. 8-speed transmission does very well, and it's so far seems to be not very much of a difference in driving characteristics as the 2018 to 2021 pre-facelift Tiguan. So when this 22 Tiguan came out, I was very shocked at the amount of equipment that you can get on the base S model. It's just a really good amount of safety features and also premium features, and it's just a huge upgrade from the pre-facelift models. Just the stop start, the push button start instead of putting your key in. Just the seats look more premium, and honestly, I think the S with the IQ drive package is the one to get. And I've seen pretty much all the trim levels come through here. The SE, the SE R-Line Black Edition, and the SEL R-Line are pretty much all the trim levels. So they simplified it a little bit, the trim levels at least for 22. But yeah, I think this is killer value for the money, this car. Also, throughout the drive, if you hear any rattling going on, I forgot my screwdriver to put the plate in the car, so it's kind of just in the rear window. So it's not the car, it's the plate. At this point, we'll get out of 25 and see how good it accelerates. So yeah, not too bad. This has got ample power for the vehicle, and it's very smooth, very linear, almost doesn't even feel like it's turbocharged. There's nothing strange going on with the transmission or anything, and that was in normal mode. So decent acceleration, definitely enough. At this point, we'll get to see how the car rides. 17-inch wheels and some pretty good sized sidewalls for the tires. It's gonna ride pretty good. And the steering is nice and light. There's a little tiny bit of feel to it. It doesn't feel fake or anything, but this car is definitely no track monster when you're going around corners, but it does do a little bit better than average. Not a whole lot of body roll going on throughout these corners. And it's taking the bumps very well, sort of the dips in the roads and everything. It's not too bouncy or anything. It was a really good suspension setup for this car. Now, coming up to the stop sign, we're going to go through a couple of S-turns. Then we'll get a decent feel for the suspension and steering as it goes through these corners. And then that'll take us to the sort of most bumpy section of the road. And we'll see how the suspension soaks it up. So it's actually pretty good through the turns. You sit, at least in my position, seating position, I sit pretty low. Sort of kind of as low as you can go on these Tiguans. But that gives you a sort of lower center of gravity. So you don't feel like you're gonna tip over or anything when you're taking these turns. So yeah, this is a pretty bumpy section of the road. You know, you definitely feel the bumps, but it's almost like it's sort of muted. So it's very comfortable suspension here. And we have our big brother, the Atlas, in front of us. And I'm sure he's just as comfy riding over these bumps as we are in the Tiguan. Now the seats in this car, to me, fabric seats have always been a little bit more comfy than leatherette or leather seating in really any car. So these are pretty darn comfortable. Although there's not any adjustable lumbar, you know, it's a pretty good amount as it is, for me at least. My best suggestion is just go to the dealer and take it for a nice long ride and see if these seats are suitable for you. Volkswagen offers a pretty good amount of different seating surfaces. So the base S will come with cloth like this one does. The SE and SE R-Line Black will come with leatherette, and the SEL Premium R-Line will come with real leather. So it gives you a pretty good range of seating options. And once you step up to the SE, you'll get full powered seats for the driver at least. You know, now that I've been driving it for a few minutes, I've driven plenty of Tiguans from working at Volkswagen for years now. And, you know, I almost want to say that they've done something to the transmission to just make it a little bit more smooth when taking off and also in gear shifts. It definitely feels a little bit more smooth in that manner. It's just certain things that you pick up on if you've been driving these cars a lot like I have, and that's something that I've picked up on. You know, the suspension and engine, they both feel pretty much the same, but maybe a little bit more refinement in the transmission for the 22 model year. And at that pretty much rounds off our driving section of the video. Yeah, so that pretty much does it for the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan in the S trim level. Now, what are my takeaways from this car? Just pretty good all-rounder. Really comfortable suspension. It'll definitely be comfortable for the longer trips, especially in the back seats. They seem to be very, very comfortable, and also the bottom of the cushion in the rear seats is pretty long, so that gives you a good amount of thigh support. So if you have kids or just people that you're transporting in the back seats, definitely be comfortable. Also very comfortable up front. Great amount of features in the S with the IQ Drive package too, and that's pretty much my takeaway thoughts. I hope you have enjoyed this car just as much as I have, and I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.